Look, we all understand a little bit about boxing. Every man thinks he can fight. The danger is that they walk up those 5 steps to the ring, and it's another world when you get in there, because you're on your own. And unless people have experienced that, they're not really entitled to talk about it. So my experience is not including a boxer. I mean, I was the worst fighter you've ever seen.
Yes. Welcome to the 13th and final round podcast.
Yes, and today we have a special friend and a guest.
Yes, we do. We have the one and only, the people's promoter. We have Barry Hearn in the house. Yes. Barry, we've got a lot to talk about today.
And to listen as well, to hear stories.
But we want to start here. We go up and down the country. We go to gyms, we go to shows. Every time your name comes up, I'll just mention a few. Johnny Nelson last week, when we were with Johnny, was saying he couldn't believe that he got to 55 years of age and he didn't realise he had a £100,000 pension. Did you know about this, that he came into because of you? So he was like, he can't say a bad word about you. Then Derek Roach, a good friend of mine, can't say a bad word about it. And it seems to be a continuous pattern that we're inside of boxing where some people get negative and bitter and skullduggery goes on. They always say that you never lost your heart and passion for people and people.
I probably overpaid them, that's why they love me, you know. But boxing's look, we all understand a little bit about boxing. Every man thinks he can fight. The danger is that they walk up those 5 steps to the ring, and it's another world when you get in there, because you're on your own. And unless people have experienced that, they're not really entitled to talk about it. So my experience is not including a boxer. I mean, I was the worst fighter you've ever seen. I don't think I ever beat up anybody. But I used to love the one-to-one game of chess. You know, I was more of a runner than a fighter because I couldn't punch really. But you get a respect for fighters, and when you get close to them, and you do inevitably get close to fighters, you fall in love with them. You see what they go through. You know it's tough. You know the odds against them making the type of money. So you try and give them some proper advice that I would give my son, you know, and that is, you know, always look after your pennies, always try and pay your mortgage off, try and look at your boxing career in retrospect and say that's what it gave me. It might be giving you an intro into a job. It might be, you know, saying I took some heavy fights, but I own my own house, things like that. So boxers are not normal people, and you have to understand that from day one, or you'll never understand boxing.
How did you? I mean, you started off in snooker, you did such a good job with Jimmy White, and then you moved through to boxing. I know the story. Tell me if I'm wrong. It was because Eubank pestering you to come over and do a good job with him. Is that right?
No, not at all. No. In terms of boxing, I started off. I was doing okay in snooker, you know, it was quite a safe sport, you know. I had Steve Davis, who's my best friend to this day, 50 years later, and I was doing well, but inside me, there's always a showman that wants to go out and do different things. You know, I'm a Gemini, so I sort of float from one plant to the next plant. And I always fancied, I used to go to all the fights, all the amateur ABAs, afternoon, evenings. I knew a load of fighters. Obviously, from where I come from, same as most people, inner city kids, there's inevitably good people and bad people. But everyone was the same when they were in the gym. Didn't make any difference. So I warmed to the sport, and I decided, because in those days the boxing promoters were so bad. I mean, the Duffs, Lawlesses, Jarvis, Astaire, but they were all safety first. You know, they had a TV contract, they had money. They didn't really care so much about selling tickets. You know, they was already making a profit. And then Frank Warren came along and bust up the cartel, which done everybody a favour, and I think you should always be credited for that. And then young people like me come in and said, we think we can do better shows than the incumbents. And it came to, there was a night at the Royal Albert Hall in about 86 or 85. They called it the Night of the Mexican Road Sweepers. So I went there were 6 fights, they were all over in the first round, and these kids from Mexico couldn't fight at all. I don't believe they were from Mexico. I think they might have been from a Mexican restaurant somewhere, but they certainly weren't from a gym. And I thought, you know what, I paid good money to watch a night's entertainment, and I feel as if I've been robbed, cheated in a way. So I said to my wife, I said, I think I'm going to have a go at this boxing. She said, oh, you can't do that. You don't know anything about it. I said, when does that stop me doing anything? I don't know anything about lots of things. I still give it 100%. And I did a couple of little shows with Terry Lawless because he had lots of fighters. Gary Mason topped the bill for me a couple of times in Southend in about 86. And I got the bug for it, you know. Once you do one show, it's like the first time you put you take your vest off and you get, you know.
We'll go to that later.
Yeah, I know, but that's it's another world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And so I've done these 2 little shows. I remember the first one made 900 quid profit, and I remember the second one lost 6.5 grand. But by then the bug was in me, and I decided I didn't want to be a small-time boxing promoter. I have big dreams, you know. Big mouth and a big dreams, my 2 biggest qualities. And I thought Joe Bugner had gone off to Australia, but he'd beat Henry Cooper, which made him very unpopular. And I've always thought that boxing, like other sports, is a soap opera. You need to have characters, you know, not just a nice left jab. That's okay, but that's for 5% of the audience. Most people, when they buy a ticket for the fights, they want to see a tear-up, don't they? You know, because it's entertainment as well. And Frank Bruno was the nation's hero because he was on the BBC, and you know he hadn't really fought that many people
as well.
But he was a character. So I thought, if I get those 2 together, that's a massive show. And I set my stall out to go and get that. And the odds against it doing was 100 to 1 against, because Bugner don't know me, and he's in Australia. Frank was with the cartel, and you know they don't want to deal with people like me. And a group of circumstances. I always think the good Lord smiles on me throughout my whole life. And I was in a Chinese restaurant with my wife, and she's very dismissive. You know, you're not going to do that. You know, they're very sort of, no. I said, I've got his phone number, you know. Anyway, I went out to the reception of this Chinese hotel and said, can I use your phone? And they said yes. And we might be getting disturbed in a minute. I hear the big man's voice. Sorry about that. You can edit this, can't you?
Yeah,
good. So anyway, I went out and said, can I use your phone? She said yes, and I phoned Melbourne, Australia, and got Joe Bugner on the other end of the line and said, listen, you don't know me, I'm in snooker. He said, yeah, I've heard the name.
Remember that fight? I
said, I'd like you to come over and fight Frank Bruno. He said, that's going to cost you a lot of money. So I said, well, I seem to remember you was on the slide, and your last fight you got $20,000. I'll give you £250,000. And he went quiet, and then he just said, what plane would you want me on? So he was in there. And then Frank was due to fight Trevor Berbick, and Berbick pulled out with a back injury, so he was at a loose end. So I went round his house and signed him for that. So I just fell into it, and it turned out to be a huge success. Sold 33,000 tickets, did it at White Hart Lane. It got 18 million viewers on ITV. And I was off and running. I thought the game was easy, you know, made a load of money. And then I've spent the next 3 years finding out I didn't know anything, and I lost millions of pounds, but I learned the game. And the game is an art form, like all promotion. It's not just, you don't just walk into it. There's a lot of people out there it's almost sexual. They really want to be a promoter. They want to be in the front of the press conference. But you've got to make mistakes to find out. It's exactly the same as a fighter goes into a fight. He's going to make errors in his early part of his career. He hopes to learn. And I learned, and I fell in love with the game. And then as one by one, different fighters came over and said, you know, you're a new kid on the block. Would you look after me? And I got on well with all of them. I used to train in the gym myself, and you know, there was a camaraderie in the gym that doesn't bear any boundaries. You know, if you've shared a ring with someone, there's a special relationship that you can't really put your finger on. You know,
Definitely.
So all that appeals to me, and the idea of, you know, my dad was a bus driver, and my mum was a cleaner, and you know, I came from nothing, and I think it gave me that inner steel to want to be something, and my chosen career was obviously as a promoter. But at the same time, I understood a little bit about where these kids come from and the fact that they're special, and they will disappoint you as well. I mean, they're humans, you know. So Mickey Duff used to say, if you want loyalty, buy a dog. Don't go into boxing. But, you know, if you treat people fairly, then I think you end up, I'm proud of my reputation in the industry as being someone who's just straight, really. I mean, I don't tell lies because I'm too old to remember them. If I tell lies, I can't remember what I said.
The saying is, you tell lies when you're young. When you get old, you tell the truth.
Yeah, well, you have to tell the truth because you can't remember the lies. That's the problem.
That's right.
So, you know, but look, it's added a lot to my life. So, I mean, as much as people are kind to say nice things about me, they've added more to my life than I believe I've added to theirs. And so I wouldn't swap a moment of my time in the sport.
Because you was, what came across for me is like, it was business, but it was a lot of pleasure as well. You looked like you were enjoying it.
Yeah, listen, I loved every second of it. I mean, I made a lot of money in 1982 in the snooker business. I was going to retire, but I was 34. And I went over and, you know, I said, I want to start a little company. We're going to call it Matchroom. Matchroom was named after the room that Steve Davis used to play his challenge matches in, and I used to gamble. And we used to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I recall something. You did something similar to me, right? But you was a big match going on, and you went to it, but you was having a baby, your firstborn or secondborn, right? And it was born, and he got a phone call to come over, and
I said it's 1-1.
Well, it's happened to me as well, because I had to go to work. My son was born as well.
Trust your wife will never forgive you. I've been married 54 years to the same woman. She still mentions it constantly. You missed your son's birth because I was playing snooker for 50 quid. But you know, it's like you can't take out. You know, we can all pretend to be somebody, but you can't take out your real self surfaces. And I think people appreciate that, like him or loathe him, you know where you are with people like me because we tell the truth and we don't really care too much if it upsets anybody because I wouldn't have it any other way. Some people, you know, I mean, I had a great relationship with Usyk that started in 1988. And eventually, you know, it was hard work to begin with. He didn't sell a bloody ticket. But no,
I thought he would, you know.
No, he was. The first show I had with him, he fought Randy Smith from America, who was a journeyman middleweight. And Eubank was, it was a terrible fight. He won on points, but oh my God, it was boring. But I just saw something in him. I said, there's a star in there somewhere coming out. We'll stick with this kid and see how we go. And it ended up being one of the adventures of your life. You know, 20 world title defences, best man at his wedding. I mean, he's a crazy guy, don't get me wrong, he'd drive you up the wall. But I found him so amusing, so funny, you know, because of the whole attitude of him. And eventually he sold tickets. He didn't sell them himself, but people responded. And then you realise that these shows have got to be an occasion, not just a show. It's not about two fighters, you can't remember their name. You've got to build the profile. These kids have got to be, you know, they've got to be known to people, because sell tickets to get out there. And then, you know, they can achieve their dreams. And that's what the fight game does more than any other sport I know.
How do you understand that more than your competition? So, you know, like, people talk. Muhammad Ali talks about he was inspired by wrestling, WWE. Was it Crazy George or something like that?
Yeah. Gorgeous George.
Gorgeous George. What inspired you to understand?
I know. Growing up, I mean, from where I came from, it was a lot of people who used to fight from those areas, you know. And I grew up desperately keen to be heavyweight champion of the world. Wow. So I was about 7 years old, and I would be listening to me transistor radio under me sheets with Rocky Marciano fighting Archie Moore. I think that was the first fight I ever heard. And then followed up that with Archie Moore actually became an opponent for Muhammad Ali. And then you'd go to Saturday morning pictures with the kids, and you'd see Pathé News, and they always had a fighter. He's just won the world title. They were your heroes, weren't they? Today's world, it's probably more footballers than anything else. But AJ, I think, in particular, is bringing another generation of talent where they want to look like him, they want to be cool, you know, want to have a load of money.
Good role model.
And a very good role model for fighters. And I fell in love with that, and unfortunately, as time passed, it was quite clear that I was never going to be heavyweight champion of the world. The second best thing was to be the man that walks in with the heavyweight champion.
That's it.
When we signed AJ in this office, and we done the deal, Eddie done the deal, and I just looked at him, and he's just a kid really. He'd won the gold medal, and he looked at me and he went, "Now we've done the deal, tell me, what do you really want out of me?" And I went, "Do you know what I really want?" I said, "I want 1% of your adrenaline."
Wow.
So when you walk in a ring, Madison Square Gardens, fighting for the heavyweight title of the world,
Feel that.
I want to be there.
Feel that. Be there.
And that's it. Money's fine. You can make money doing lots of things, good things and bad things. But that creation of a moment that you never forget, there's more of those memories in boxing than probably any other sport.
History, right?
Yeah.
It's history. How do you feel? Because I know you're a strong man. I mean, when listening to you, first of all, I want to say thank you, because I know Dee probably feels the same way. You probably didn't realise when you were doing it what it meant to future fighters. Like them Eubank days were crazy, you know, like
crazy.
Do you understand? For us as like little kids watching on TV, Eubank coming out and
the flying carpet.
Well, Naz on the flying carpet. He was on that. Like a rocket, didn't it? And then he had the Harley Davidson. But I mean, that's all part and parcel of doing a show. What people don't realise is, you know, the traditionalists, I call them, they love a left jab, they love this, they love the feet. But they don't really understand the business of boxing. The business of boxing is to make people famous, which will in turn, and I'll give you a good example. We talked about him named Errol Graham. One of the great fighters coming out of England of all time, no question. Top of the who needs him list, because he was so skillful. But he didn't have a style or a personality in those days that fitted in with what the public wanted. So therefore, he never got the value his talent deserved.
I agree.
See, other fighters, you get fighters today, I mean, look at these YouTubers. They're making millions. But they're shit, but we mustn't knock them. They're supplying something the public want to see. You know? And I say good luck to them, you know, good luck to every penny you get, because it's a tough old life, it's a tough old game. Every chance you get to make a shilling or two is a good move in their direction.
They're promoters' dream, right? Because they help the promoter.
Well, they're also the promoter themselves in a way, aren't they? They've got these, you know, one day we'll be talking to you guys in 10 years' time, you'll have millions of followers, and, you know, the Bentley will be parked outside and all that. And you just say, well, you know, who gave you that? Well, your own effort. Without your own effort, it don't go anywhere in business or in life. But you need help. So you need people to latch on and say, you know, we got this kid Johnny Fisher down in Romford, the Romford Ball. He's improving every day. He's not the finished ticket, and he knows that. So he's got a brain. He understands it's not, especially heavyweights. It's a dangerous old game. You're one punch away from catastrophe all the time. But he works his social media. He sells thousands of tickets on his own, him and his dad. He's a promoter's dream. So what do then? You put your arms around him, you protect him a bit more, don't you? You don't take chances, you know. And if the fighter plays the game as well, then all of a sudden you're boxing 6 times a year instead of 3. You know, you're earning 6 purses instead of 3. And if you're matched carefully along the way in the early days, because all fighters, they're learning their craft. And you don't matter, you can have an Olympic gold medal. It don't mean you can fight. You've still got to learn the professional game, which is entirely different to the amateur game.
Yeah.
100%. Would you go on, Dee?
I was saying, I want to know about you now, from way back and from when you were a young kid and everything. I want to know your upbringing.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's not much of a story.
No.
I mean, we were very poor. My dad was a bus driver, and he died very young. My mum was a grafter. She was a cleaner. But I honestly, I had a very happy childhood, you know.
You're still happy.
I'm happy every day of my life, every day.
Did your mum tell you to be an accountant?
Yeah, when I was 12, she came home from cleaning this bloke's house. She said, when you grow up, you're going to be a chartered accountant. I said, why is that? She said, because the man I work for told me today that you never see a poor one. And that phrase stuck in mind. You know, someone will tell you something when you're a baby and you'll never forget it. So I straight from that moment, you never see a poor one, you know. I mean, I didn't know the difference between wealth and poverty. I was just a kid playing football in the street, having fights with people, things like that, you know.
So you
it's just part of growing up.
From early, didn't you?
Yeah, I always liked one-to-one stuff. I mean, I wasn't particularly good at it, but I stood my ground, you know. I mean, but again, it's all part of how you progress as a human being, isn't it? And some aspects of that have stayed with me today. I mean, I'm not going to roll around with you, a lump of ewes, you know. I've got more sensible than that. But no, we're also. But you get softer as you get older as well, you know. But when you're fighting for something, whether it's in the ring or outside the ring, business is the same as fighting.
That's right.
There's winners and there's losers, and the winners generally are the ones that put the most effort in.
What the losers, though, sometimes it's for them to get up and come back.
Then we find that's when you find out. I know getting up was never a problem because I spent a lot of time on the floor. But
look here,
you learn from it, and you take that spirit and that passion with you into any field of activity, and you'll be a better person.
That's it.
100%.
And I think, you know, I say to people like Carl Froch is a good example. You know, mean bugger. Great fighter, but he's taken what he learned in the ring. He's taken it into his business life, and now he's very successful. Tony Bellew, the same thing. And this is good for boxing because the worst thing about boxing is when you see someone on a street corner, you know, drinking red wine or something like that, and you think he was champion of the world, or he was. Where did it all go wrong? And that doesn't inspire other kids. When they see a fighter get out of a Ferrari, you know, with a beautiful lady on his arm or something like that, kids go, I want something. What have I got to do to get that? So, well, you've got to work your nuts off, you've got to sacrifice, you've got to do it. And that sacrifice, it applies whether it's sport, boxing, whether it's business, the same rules apply. So with me, I play everything like a game. Every business I've got, and there's a lot of them now, because I've been reasonably successful, I play like a game. So I don't think about the money comes automatically. You know, Steve Davis, when he was playing snooker, never knew what the prize money was of any event, because it was irrelevant. He knew if he got the trophy, it came with a check. But he wasn't going in it thinking of the check. Because money's replaceable. Titles and trophies aren't, because they create long-lasting memories.
That's right. Would you say chase success and that money come with it?
That's
automatically, you don't. If you're successful in anything, that success can be interpreted many ways. You know, you can feel a better person, you can feel mentally stronger, and you can also feel much richer. But if you go out just looking for the money, you will get your comeuppance somewhere.
Struggle.
I always wanted to ask you, just lean on to your upbringing. We're moving into different times now, and I know that you're an old wise owl, and things are changing from your era to this.
Very much so.
There's the era of what I come up with in this era of suck it up, dry your eyes, get up, keep moving forward, to now everyone wants to talk about the problems, right? So I think it's good to talk when you hit a dead end, and then get a solution in play and move on? What do you think about
No,
the time?
communication is vitally important to anybody, wherever walk of life you live, and you need someone to talk to. It might be a wife, it might be your parents, it might be your mates. One of the things that I do is I talk to myself a lot. I know it sounds a bit deranged, but I'll have 10 minutes in front of the mirror, having a conversation with a bloke, the only person in the world that's going to tell me the truth to my face. It's yourself.
Yes. So good.
And if you can absorb truth, then you can move forward. The day you ignore the truth and the reality of the situation, you become deluded. And when you're deluded, that's when your mental health problems come into kick. Because you can't, there's nothing to fall back on. You know, it's like, as I say, you know, if you're an active fighter, you've always got that chance. You can always do things better. But the moment you stop, if you have not achieved your dreams, you can go through a difficult period post-retirement, things like that. Now, I'm 76 next week. You know, for my age, I'm in decent shape.
You're young.
But my brain is very active. So I'm constantly thinking of new ideas, new ways, because that actually is what keeps me alive.
Yeah, so you're still active in the game, still active in what
I'm
you're
active in everything.
still doing now.
I sit on top.
Still on top, but you still get involved.
Every single second of every single day, mate.
So
every single
another
second.
thing as well, you came into darts as well, along with the pool. So tell us about that.
Well, I mean, I just like sports that I like. So we have, I mean, this is a big company now, but it wasn't when it started. It was tiny. But we all had a rule on day one. If Bazza don't like it, we don't do it.
That's right.
So snooker, I like. Pool, I like. Boxing, I like. Darts, I like. And if you see, you can't invent passion. It's either in you or it's not in you.
Right.
But when you like something, and I played all of those sports reasonable, it's an easy job. It's not like working. So every day I'm excited to go to work. And you know, everyone says, oh yeah, 76, how long? I don't consider I'm working. It's not a day's work for me. You know, you get upset, like you say, you wipe your mouth, you get on with it, don't you? You don't win every argument. I always try and tell people I make dozens of mistakes, even with all the experience I've got. But I make thousands of decisions. So you've got to expect sometimes that it don't go to plan.
It's still got your faculties.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, well, sometimes you have to bob and weave, and sometimes you have to stand and fight. I mean, it just depends on the circumstance of where you are.
As long as you're happy, that's the main thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know, like, it's in the mind. I mean, everything, I mean, again, you had it yourself, but in my limited experience, I remember looking across to the other fella with just sparring and not fancying the job. You know what I mean? That horrible feeling.
I know.
And every now and again, sometimes, with me, very rarely, I'd look across and I'd really fancy the job. And it relates to your performance. You know, you feel unbeatable. Well, I feel unbeatable in business because I've paid my dues over a long period of time. I've learned on the way. And I know it sounds big-headed, but I don't think there's anyone can live with me. In the sports business in the world, I don't know an operator. Eddie's the closest I've got because the apple don't fall far from the tree.
Comparing you and him now, what is it like?
Well, he's better than me because
why is he better than you?
Well, he's adjusted better to the new world. Where you refer to the new world.
That's what I'm saying.
Social media. A lot of people were very slow to embrace social media. I didn't understand it, but like everything, as William Gladstone once said, I've been a learner all my life. I realised quite early it was going to be important, so I tried to understand it, but it is a young person's world. And the creativity that someone like Eddie has brought to social media and boxing in particular has actually made his brand. I mean, people don't like being called names, but you have to have a brand. You have to represent something because otherwise you're just not distinguishable from other people out there.
Well, you're good at WhatsApp. You write back to me.
Yeah, I know. I do a little bit from time to time. But when you talk about, people always say to me, who is the better boxing promoter, Eddie Hearn or Barry Hearn? I always say Eddie Hearn because of the way he's embraced.
It's different now.
And changed it, you know. I mean, it is a different world completely. And I admire people in this new world, and I say good luck to everybody, because I don't wish anybody any harm to go to places that they haven't been before.
I love that, because that's my mindset.
That's a fighting spirit. That,
Well, yeah, of course.
That's my mindset. You're probably the best of friends and the worst of enemies.
Yeah, I think that's a really accurate description, because if I have an enemy,
Take it to the trenches, mate.
it's for a long, long time.
And
I'm not a forgiving type. I give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
But if someone lets me down, I'm not a forgiving type. You know, it's just, I just say, I compartmentalise my brain and I store them in the back somewhere, like they're dead.
Yeah.
You know?
And just do your thing.
And that's it. Go on. I'm doing my own thing. God bless. Do what you like.
High and by. That's it. I'm all right, man.
It's about moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's life.
I've got a really good idea, though. You could say this, Teddy. I want you to do 5v5 against Frank Warren. And I know you'd be up for that.
Mate.
Yeah.
Mate.
How did you feel about we said to Eddie about 4 days before.
Do you know what? I thought it was hilarious. Obviously, look, everybody got paid. Number one.
Yeah.
This is too dangerous a job not to. The fighters got very well paid. As a fight fan, I saw 5 fights that I really couldn't be sure 100% where they were going to go.
Some good fights.
It was a fabulous fight card. And then I said to Eddie, well, there you go, son. Sometimes you don't get rehearsals. It's not WWE. We're not practicing our moves. And, you know, you look at those fights and, you know, you have to say, right, they were so good, we got beat 10-0. 10 fucking nil. And I'm like, well, look, Warren and I have been competitors for years. I don't wish him any harm either. But of course I wanted to win. But what I saw was an opportunity in defeat. We'll do it again. Because that formula worked. And it was good for the fighters. It was good for the promoters. It was good for the boxing fans.
100%.
Who's lost? No one's lost. All right.
It was a good shot.
Yeah, we would have loved to win 10-0. Of course we would have
I
done.
thought you were going to win as well.
Well, the way I saw the fights was Craig Richards, I thought, should have too much knowledge
Experience.
for the Scouser. But the other bloke, I think, wanted it more. I think Amo Williams was unlucky. I thought that fight could have easily gone to him or a draw, but it was a close fight. And the way the ball fights, he catches the judge's eyes because he's all action. So that, in the points,
I didn't think he won that.
I didn't think he did, but, you know, it was close enough not to have a serious dispute. The banker on the card I thought was Herkovich for us against Dubois, and I got it completely wrong. Herkovich wasn't as good as I thought he was. Dubois did what he did, but I was wrong. And I couldn't believe that Deontay Wilder is shot, shot. I mean, Chili Zhang is he's a big lump, but he's very limited himself. And Deontay just wasn't at the races. I mean, it was scary.
You look too light.
Yeah, I mean, our middleweight kid that got beat, you know, that was probably a little bit too early for him, because that other kid, that Shazam, I mean, he can fight. Listen, that
kid.
That
he's got to get around with a height.
He's tall, but he's 6'4" middleweight or something. I mean, I don't know where I didn't know
down to that weight.
But he's technically good as well, you know. So all credit. No, listen, I think it was a great night. Everyone had a smile on their face, and the first thing that the Saudis said is, "We want to do it again."
Would you be up for doing one against one?
Yeah.
No, I don't need to be. We got plenty of fighters that can beat his fighters. On another day, it can be 10-0 to us. Who knows? But as long as everyone's excited by the prospect, it's good for boxing.
We loved it. We love it. We're looking forward to the Wembley one.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be another cracking night. I mean, God knows. And I go through those fight cards, and I remember fight cards. I mean, I used to do some shit fight cards as well, by the way. You know, because in those days, you weren't paying the money to get people to take those type of fights. Today, you would take
the risk,
a 50-50, even a 40-60 fight. You'd take the risk for the reward, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the essence of boxing. Change your life through the fight game is something that legends are made of.
100%. What did you think? What was your opinion on the Fury Usyk fight?
I thought it was a great fight. Right man won. I thought Usyk would win from day one anyway.
Did you?
Yeah, because he's just too technically clever. His feet and everything. If we talk about analysing boxing, you know, this is and also he's got this thing that you can't put a value on. He's fighting for his country. I mean, I think he's back on the front line now. You know, I mean, this geezer would die for his people. And we talk about religion sometimes plays a big part in boxing. You know, if you believe you're destined and the good Lord wants you to win. I mean, it's a massive impetus. You can't go through the levels of pain just for the money. It just doesn't work, because one day the brain goes, do you know, I've had enough of this, getting knocked over. It's not funny, it hurts as well. So there's more to the game than that. But no, I think Usyk's a great fighter. I think at the moment Joshua would beat them all, even Usyk. But that's without doubt his toughest fight. I mean, Joshua's changed his stance a little bit. He's gained about 9 inches on his distance, so he's absolutely in the perfect spot. And he hits like a mule. I don't know another heavyweight hits as hard as him.
Hit with them shots.
My God, you don't stand up to those. And I think him and Fury would still be a massive fight, but I've always thought that AJ... It can do. I mean, it all depends. I mean, Usyk's going to rematch with Fury, so they say, and if that fight happens, I don't see any change in the result.
Same result again.
But it depends what it takes out of Fury, because Fury now's got a shed load of money. He don't need to work again in his life. Does he want to take a chance of ending any hope of a legacy by getting sparked by AJ? Or does he just say, listen, I've had a great run and he's been a fabulous champion?
Do you think his mental health is...
Did you see this? Did you
I saw the clip. It was scary.
Right, what do you think?
Sad, isn't it?
Well, people sometimes have bad days, and I'm hoping that was just a bad day, but you never like to see your heroes. You see, when we talk about getting out of a Ferrari with an attractive lady on your arm, that inspires. When you see champions that you have respect for falling on their face on a curbside bar, it just deflates me.
What's sad about it is he said he don't drink as well, so there's obviously been a backtrack.
Well, he's obviously had something, but whatever it was, I would strongly recommend not doing it again. It's embarrassing for his legacy as well, because we're talking about it now. I mean, we're just three geezers having a chat, but the world saw it, and that demeans the man himself, and I think he's a better person than that.
I think that if he goes back and watches the videotapes of what he did in the earlier rounds, he has a form to beat Usyk, because he was winning them earlier rounds with a body shot, and he switched off. We interviewed him in Morecambe at the press conference, and I asked him a really loaded question, obviously because we both trained out the Ingles camp. We understand that style of fighting, we understand the switching and everything. So I said to him, if Usyk's going to come in zigzag left and right, and he's going to come in lateral, and he's going to wave his hands to get you to go a certain direction, what are you going to do to stop him making them lateral moves? And
you started laughing.
He looked at me, laughed, and he said, well, okay.
I might get knocked out.
Because that's what to think about. But if you're watching the fight, he did exactly... He was winning the fight, and it was only one time he got his leg caught in the wrong position and he got nailed. And that was...
But I think you're being a little bit overcritical on him, because he boxed a decent fight, but at no time did I think he was ever in control of the fight. The control came from Usyk's feet and the way he attacks you and the way he gets you. You spend too much time thinking about him and not enough time thinking about yourself. I mean, I think Fury would have beaten Joshua 2 years ago.
I agree.
Because I don't think Joshua would have known how to handle him, and he would have been spending too much time watching the feints, watching the arms going with the arms round the ropes and all that sort of stuff. What you do with that is you actually ignore that, and you do you play your role and you fight your fight, because then he's just another man in front of you. But Fury is clever at that, and I think the fight was close-ish. I still think Usyk was edging it after 6, but again, I have to say, Fury's powers of recovery are unbelievable. I mean, that 9th round, I mean, in any other fight
Could have been stopped.
would have definitely been stopped.
Yeah.
But because there was so much money involved and so much international interest, someone had to end up on the floor for it to be stopped. And he never went down. But two things happened which shocked me. One was Fury's power of recovery, which I thought was astonishing. And then secondly was Usyk, who never went for him. Now, when you've got a bloke like that in that type of trouble, and he clearly don't know the day of the week, you know, no point in saying he took some solid punches.
The body shots, not uppercuts as well.
But Usyk came out and gave him respect. Instead of, I thought Usyk would come in. You can't recover no matter who you are in 60 seconds. You can't from a beating like that. But he gave him another minute or so, and the head cleared, and he went back to his boxing, and he did all right. He won a couple of rounds after that even. But it was a great fight to watch. It was a great spectacle, and with all the hype that went with it, I think we were very fortunate to watch it. And I think the right man won, but it wasn't by much. No, I had him 2 rounds ahead at the end.
That's what I had. As well.
You know, I was watching the Joshua and the Usyk one. Joshua did give him the blueprint there for the body shot. Because the second fight, he started into the body, but he didn't continue. Yeah, Dubois as well. So the body shot, I think that's what he took in, but he didn't continue doing that.
I think the first fight was one-way traffic, and Usyk comfortably beat Joshua. The second fight was close, but I still think Usyk won it.
Yeah, he did.
But at the same time, there was. I mean, that was more frustrating for Anthony because I think he felt he'd made so many adjustments
and
he didn't come off, and he was sort of questioning, how do I get better when that was the best I've ever fought, probably in defeat.
Usyk found the answer for everything what he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think Usyk does adjust better than anyone as well to circumstances.
He's a smart boxer.
But no one's really chinned him. I mean, body shots, he seems a little bit vulnerable to body shots, but then a big man hitting you in the body hurts,
Exactly.
And there's a bigger target. But no one's really put a proper shot.
Followed it up.
And no one's stuck one right on his chin. Then we'll see. But that fight is going to be sometime in the making. And Fury Joshua, I hope we see April, May next year, and it'll be irrespective of the result of the Usyk fight, it will be a cracker.
The Wilder fight will never happen now, though, right? No. That's good.
I think Wilder's got to have a serious look at his career and think what he's going to do. I mean, he's earned again. He's a guy from Alabama, poor background. He's got millions of dollars, and good luck to him. And he's earned every shilling. But sometimes. It don't matter what the mouth says. It matters what the brain thinks.
I like that.
And that, you know, you find. I mean, there was a great fighter in England called Errol Christie years ago, roughly the same time. And undefeated as an amateur, undefeated as a professional. And he was on someone else's show, I'm glad to say. And they put him in with a light heavyweight from Belgium who wasn't particularly good, but he was a light heavyweight, and Errol was a middleweight. And he stopped him, put him down. The brain, Errol Christie's brain, never forgot that knockdown. And in the gym, I used to watch him for hours. He was brilliant. And he could stand and fight and do everything. But when he was on a show, a proper show, and there weren't head guards or anything like that, you just jab him and he'd fall down.
I know.
It's the brain. It just tells you things.
James Cook said the same, similar things to me today when we were speaking to him. He was saying that he's the best fighter that he thinks ever come out of this country, talent-wise.
People used to stop and watch him in the gym. Good fighters used to stop and watch him. But it just wasn't there when it really mattered. You know, Michael Watson hit him with a left jab and it was all over. And, you know, Michael had a good jab, but it weren't that good, you know, not to stop something.
Timing, isn't it? Just timing. That's brilliant.
Shall we play that game?
No, hold on.
He wants a question first.
I'm going to thank you now for the camera. I've already thanked you through your son, but obviously, you know, with Jack giving me the opportunity to fight. That was my first fight. That was my dream. That was my dream. Everyone said, no, you can't go on big shows. And I went down to, Jack told me to come down to the weigh-in, that with Naz and Paul Ingle, was it? And Hitman, and that was a good bill. How did you come to put that together? No,
I didn't do that show.
You do that show?
Was
Frank Maloney, right? But you were still
involved.
We was involved with all of them, but you know, boxing's a funny business. I mean, there's never more than a couple of people that actually particularly run the sport. You know, there's always the big promoters on there, and they're always governed by a big broadcaster these days. If you haven't got to, I mean, these guys that do small shows, they have my utmost respect.
Got to do it themselves.
Because they are working their cotton off to just, if they break even or make a couple of quid, they've done well. But the grief they get is not worth the money. But you know, if you've got Warren on BT or TNT, they call it now, and you've got obviously Eddie on DAZN, you've got that boxer kid on Sky. Once they've gone, those three, you know, you're left with people fighting over scraps, and that's a really tough way. It was like that when I started because I didn't have any broadcasters as well, you know. So I lost millions of pounds over a few years. But by then I was too committed, and I got lucky because eventually you break the door down, don't you? But you can be banging on that door for a long time.
Well, I banged on the door, didn't I? I turned up, cut everything, turned up. Jack said, go down, go get weighed in me. I came in and he said, who are you? And I got scared, you know. I thought, oh, not the show now. Because I prepared. I prepared in my dream, you know what I mean? And
you went out and got you in the corner. You went out and got you in the corner.
And then basically just...
you sparked him as well, didn't you?
Yes, 54 seconds. And it was knockout of the year on Sky
You were going
TV.
crazy, but
I was thinking, do you know what?
I should have signed me up.
No, what I should have done was lowered his money a bit. You know? only got 54 seconds.
The wage was good, and Jack said, nah, take it all. And I thought, wow, this is good. I like this sport.
Of course you do.
But it was a good wage,
listen.
Thank you very much.
No, you don't have to.
You know, I'm going to do a shake your hand on podcast.
Listen, I'm very happy with that.
Thank you.
He still owes me 5 rounds and 2 minutes.
No problem.
He didn't pay you for the show.
No.
I was going to ask you though, because you mentioned a couple of times for this show, like for me, I believe in God, so in moments I rely on faith. Do you have anything like that?
All the time. All the time.
The only reason I ask is because you kept us saying the good Lord a couple of times, and I thought I'm going to have to ask.
I think we're all, as you get older as well, you know, you've got to be on his side because you don't know when you're going to get the call, do you? And I want to make sure he sends me up there, not down there. But you have to have some focus in your life, you know, and it's all right. In many ways, the early days are easy because you've got nothing to lose. My dad was a bus driver, so if I was a failure in any way, well, if I was a bus conductor, I was a success, you know.
Exactly.
Which is all respect to my son. He's followed in my footsteps 10 times, 100 times more difficult for him to make his own name above mine, which he's done. So tick the box. Yeah, no question. I walked out of the O2 the other day, and I'm walking through the crowd. I heard someone shout out, "Look! He's Eddie Hearn's dad."
Dad.
Dad now. I thought so, you know, 45 years in the business, I'm Eddie Hearn's dad, you know. But, you know, I'm honoured to be that. And
it started everywhere around.
But you know what? You have to have something to believe in, as I said, and it has to be something bigger. People get so, I mean, they irritate me by their preoccupation with pound notes. I was exactly like that when I was younger because I didn't have any pound notes. And when you get a little bit spoiled and you know you've had a bit of success, you can actually look at the much bigger picture. And the bigger picture is seeing people change their lives. The bigger picture is that applause when you, like the darts at the moment, I'm just loving it. Everyone's having a great time. And we're making money. The players are getting fortunes. But most importantly, people are leaving with a smile on their face.
You know your darts? You've made it like a bit of boxing. You give that like
a little bit of
ring entrance. Ring entrance when they're coming out.
Give them a nickname, give them the music, give them an entrance.
How did you become to do that?
Well, I've always thought that sport was just...
You changed it.
I think all sport, and snooker before, sport was a soap opera. And it's built by the characters that play it. They're all good, and they're all better than us, mere mortals. But you need more. You need characters. And you need people that respond to it. In the early days of snooker, I got 8 snooker players sitting around the table that was managed by me. And I said, right, this is your role. I said, Steve Davis, I said, you're the boring one. You drink water, you wear a white shirt, you don't talk to anyone. Right. Terry Griffiths from Wales. I said, "You're Will, so you think you can sing. So you sing at the table and you comb your hair a lot. Just little things, mannerisms that they had themselves." And then Jimmy White, you know, you're the Artful Dodger. You know, you can't read or write, but you can work out a 6-horse accumulator faster than any man I've ever known. You know, so those little character building exercises, when you say to a fighter, you know, this is your ring entrance. You ain't started it. When he used to say to me, what do you think, Bazza? Shall I wear a monocle?
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm like, yeah, that's good. Shall I arrive at a press conference on a motorbike with my jodhpurs? All of that was part of the process of making him bigger than the sport he was in.
You like my entrance?
I can't remember.
I came in long shorts. I'll send you the video. I came in long shorts.
You're going back a few years, young man.
I'm an old man now.
You're definitely an old man.
They were shorts, they were like
They were down here. Everybody laughed at them.
Ricky Hatton copied them.
But the all copied the Ricky Hatton, Michael Gomez, they all copied my shorts down here.
You see, you may not have won the world title, but you were a trendsetter in your day.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a fashion guru.
Definitely was a fashion guru. Let's play this game.
Come on, play the game.
Good game, yeah.
So, when we've done this with some people, they want to elaborate. So you can elaborate after, but we're not going to elaborate. We'll play the game.
Okay.
So the winner stays in. All right.
Yeah.
So this is going to be good.
You found the right one?
Okay. The winner stays in. Who, in your eyes, is the best boxer promoter of all time? Right.
No question. Yeah.
Don King v Bob Arum. Only one can stay in.
Arum.
Bob Arum v Richard Schaefer.
Arum. By a country mile.
Bob Arum, it's going to get better. Bob Arum v Al Haymon.
Arum. By a country mile.
Bob Arum v Lou DiBiella.
Oh, no contest. Arum.
Bob Arum v Oscar De La Hoya. This is going to be quick.
No contest whatsoever. Arum.
Bob Arum v Tex Richard.
No contest.
Bob Arum.
Of course.
Bob Arum v Frank Warren.
It's closer. I'm going to give it to Warren on a split decision because he's a great survivor, which Arum isn't necessarily. Arum has everyone beat on enthusiasm and passion at 93 years old. So for longevity, Arum gets the no. But as a survivor who's been through all sorts of challenges in his life, I'll just give that to give it to Warren.
Okay.
So next.
Now it's Warren now.
Warren v Eddie Hearn.
No contest. Eddie's on another level to any promoter there is or has been.
Okay.
And lastly, Eddie Hearn v Barry Hearn.
Eddie Hearn without a doubt, but not without a struggle. No, not without a struggle. If it's a level playing field, I'm still half a challenge.
Yeah.
But I think his personality and the brand he's built carries people. You see, fighters need a little bit of inspiration from outside the ring as well as from inside the ring. You know, and if you I look at some of my fighters that you may never have even heard of. You know, I look at Francis Ampufu, the little flyweight who came over from Ghana with nothing, and today he's Marks and Spencer's biggest egg supplier in the country.
Unbelievable.
He's got a farm, does that. Stevie Roberts, a middleweight that didn't do so much. He saved his money, he bought his house, he went back to being an electrician, and he's happy as a pig in shit. So things like that, it's how do you value success? You know, people that have had money and then lost it all because they listened to friends or not really friends, you know, take the wrong advice, do stupid things, get into drugs, get into alcohol, get into gambling. Those people, God has given them a gift and they have ignored the benefit of what they've had. And now the great man, if he gives you something, you have a duty to respect that gift and to make the most of it, because otherwise next time he'll give it to somebody else.
He will, that's it. That's
What is your, do you know, if you could put your finger on, what is your gift?
I'm relentless. I'm unbeatable. If I decide I am, and I'm not saying this in a big-headed or a physical fashion,
You lock on.
you can't beat me. Just my work ethic is only Eddie gets close, but once I'm on it.
You're on it.
I am fucking on it.
And your word is your bond, right?
Once I shake your hand, you go to the bank. There isn't a bank manager in the world that wouldn't take my handshake as a proper contract.
This has been good.
Nice.
So I could talk to you all day, but you've taken enough of your time.
Well, listen.
How long have you
Hopefully
been
it's not
talking?
the last time you're
No, listen. It's nice to see you here. It's nice to see this old rascal.
Oh, privilege.
And, no, not privileged. We're both privileged because we have memories.
That's right.
You know, as you get older in life, memories are so important.
definitely,
you know.
definitely.
I go fishing a lot, you know, and I'll sit there by the side of a river.
Yeah.
I'm not a worry in the world. I'm the world's happiest man. No one can hurt me. The only person is when God decides to take me, that's the end.
And also when you go fishing, you write every fish way down.
Everything.
The type of
I
fish,
take their pictures.
everything. Yeah.
They all
I've
get a
seen
kiss
them.
on the lips before they go back.
In. I know.
But more importantly is my brain is completely cleared of all the problems in the world, of which there are many.
Yeah.
And you concentrate on what's important, and that's family.
That's right.
And friends, and the community from where you came.
That's right.
You tick those 3 boxes, you'll be a better person, and you'll leave a legacy of good, rather than just a legacy of a few pound notes.
That's right.
I just want to say, from watching you for many, many years from a distance, from a young kid, what you did for Eubank, what you did for boxing, and then the legacy what's gone on to Eddie.
Eddie, yeah.
And then now we're here, and then we having the opportunity to ask you questions. I could see them values and how them values.
Put on to Eddie as well. He's got the same.
No, I said to Eddie, we don't need it. We don't need to rob anyone. We can be honest, and it works both ways. Sometimes people don't want you to be honest. You know, they don't want to hear the truth. Our job is to tell the truth and to operate with integrity and honesty, so that you can stand up at the end of the day, put your hand on your heart, and say, I always felt, and I might be wrong, I always felt that we did the right thing at the right time.
Sleep easy.
And you know, listen, as a family, we've been very fortunate, and we should bless every day.
Wow. Honestly, we got, I don't know about you, but I got a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, well, listen,
Thank you.
good to see you both. Absolute pleasure. Well done, champ.
We'll check out there. Don't forget to like, share and comment.
Hit the notification button and tell a friend to tell a friend, and we're here.
And we out.
All right.
13th and the final round. Hit them up, man. That's it.
Life is what it is. Only can change it if something's not broken. Don't fix the shit, 'cause people cry, people lie, people place that people place man, people